Good evening, everyone. My name is Bruce Johnson, and I serve as the Chief of the Auxiliaries Youth Programs Division. This evening is our third quarterly AuxScout All-Hands Staff Forum for 2023. I appreciate the questions that were submitted in advance. This evening, we're going to start with AuxScout News. Next, we'll address your questions and deal with any discussion topics that time allows. Tonight's forum will be about 60 minutes. Well, probably will be a little longer than that. And let's see, based on our experience last quarter, we're going to leave your mics open and we'll see how that goes. If you have an urgent question, please ask it. If the questions or comments can wait, please type it in the chat box. Feel free to leave your video camera on if you like. So we'll start with the latest news, and here are the topics. Sea Scout's 111th birthday, Pacific Northwest Fire Rescue, new ships update, Coast Guard Auxiliary Association grants, Eagle and AIM updates, and Tech Talks and Quick Tips. And then we'll get to your questions after that. So it's my pleasure to introduce our very good friend and fellow Coast Guard Auxiliarist, Ben Farrell, who is the National Sea Scout Commodore, and he's going to talk with us a little bit about Sea Scout's 111th birthday. Take it away, Ben.
Well, thank you, Bruce. And I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of our Sea Scouts and our fellow Coast Guard Auxiliary shipmates who support the Sea Scout program a very, very happy birthday. And today we are 111 years old young, and we were founded on 9 July 1912 when a scout leader by the name of Arthur A. Carey in Waltham, Massachusetts, embarked a group of older scouts on board the schooner Pioneer and took it out and conducted man overboard drills and seamanship. And the Pioneer is recognized as our first Sea Scout ship, and the Pioneer's deck log identified today as the day that they went underway. So we recognize 9 July as our birthday. Also, later that summer, Charles Longstreth of Philadelphia organized the Sea Scout Patrol on board his yacht. And between Carey and Longstreth, both of these guys pioneered scouting's oldest high adventure program. And if we could fast forward to 2018, when Bruce Johnson and many others began the renewal process of our MOU, and all of that hard work and dedication led to us meeting tonight, where we have a very robust AuxScout program. We are now the official youth program of the Auxiliary, and we're very happy to have the Auxiliary as our partners. And during the last 3 years, through COVID and shutdown and everything else, the AuxScout program has thrived, and we've seen some growth. And later today, we'll hear some magnificent things that Sea Scouts have done because of our partnership with the Auxiliary. And I will leave that to Neil Smith, but there was one story that I'll share with you of a Sea Scout in Galveston, Texas, who joined the program in October, went to a safety at sea at sector Galveston, Texas, and in January put out a fire based on the skills that he learned from the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Auxiliary on how to handle a fire extinguisher. So to date, we have about 3,179 Sea Scout members and 320 ships, and we are growing. And of the number of ships that we have, 30 are with the Auxiliary. And that young man who learned how to use the fire extinguisher, I believe, is in one of those ships. So I want to thank you all for your support of the Sea Scout program. It's a magnificent birthday. And one of the interesting things is that on Facebook, this picture that my wife and I put together has received something like 900 hits, and it's been shared about 147, 149 times throughout social media. So we have many, many Sea Scouts today celebrating our birthday, and I put out a call to all of our Sea Scout ships to celebrate this birthday throughout the month of July. And we can't do it without your support and your help and your mentorship and guidance. And we appreciate everything that you're doing for our program. So thank you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Ben. At this point, I'll ask Ron Blaisdell to introduce our next speaker.
All righty. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce an individual who I work with on a regular basis. I'm wearing my other hat, working with the Auxiliary Association, and that is retired Commander, Coast Guard Commander Suzanne Heeman, who was the Durox, as some of you folks from the 8s have recognized her name. She was Durox, that was her last assignment before she left. And she is here today to talk about something that we've been working on for a while now, but we finally got it all together. Yep. And so she's here to talk to you about some grants for your units. Take it away, Suzanne.
All right. Hello, everybody. So yes, I come here as the Chief Development Officer of the Auxiliary Association. And the Auxiliary Association is really excited to be talking with and partnering with S Directorate because A, you guys are some of the most put together directorate in the Auxiliary, but B, we definitely see a way we can help you immediately and quickly. And so the association is really ramping up our activities and our efforts to be directly supporting units and fundraising on behalf of units and activities. One of which, an easy one, is going to be scouting and sea scouting. So some of you may be aware that we have started what's called the Direct Grants to Unit program through the association. And so any unit can request funds to do recruiting or retention activities. And so obviously, scouting is such a large part of the conversation about scouting being a recruiting and retention activity. And immediately we thought there's got to be a way to support the scouts. So we have designated within the association, we've set aside initially $3,000 from that direct grant pool to support the AuxScout. So I talked to Bruce Johnson and I said, you know, how do we do this? What can we do for you? And we talked about probably the fastest way to do that is to support units that need help with their sponsorship or their sponsorship fees, registering fees. Because I definitely know when I was a director, when a lot of units were frustrated because it's just another thing to pay for. It's another fee, $200, $100 plus whatever additional program fees you're paying. That is costly, and that's a hurdle for some units. So we decided that may be initially a good way to start supporting Sea Scout ships. So what we have done is we have created a specific AuxScout request process. So you would go, it's a streamlined process, so you don't go through direct grants process. It's a specific process for Aux ships. So I'm going to share my screen because I just want to show you this. These links are shared in the slide deck, but I just want to show you, here you go. So this is the AuxA main website. If you come here to direct grants to units, then this is the general direct grants page, right? So we talk about the rules, like what it's for, whatever. There's a general application down here. So if you want to come up with something for your unit or even for your scout ship that's really specific besides chartering fees, then you can fill out this form. And this submits the form directly to my staff. We have it, we track it, and then we'll reach out and follow up. But for scout ships, we've created this specific request. So you would click here in the link, then there's a very simple form. You're going to fill out this basic information. Really, we've decided for now, until we have issues, if we do ever have issues with funding, Now we're going to say we will support the chartering and rechartering fees. So you can request reimbursement for $200 for the chartering fees and $100 for rechartering fees. The unit would still need to cover what other additional program fees or association fees you may be paying, but we're doing this piece on that behalf. We're asking really just you're going to write in the years you're looking to cover and then provide some form of proof of that payment. And it can be really anything, whether it's a specific receipt from BSA or it's your minutes that approve the expenditures from the units. Just attach something so we have that in terms of records. What'll happen is my staff will reach back. We'll talk to the finance team and the AuxScout's finance team will send a check to the unit directly. And then we will provide on a monthly basis a report back to the S Directorate on how many of these requests we're getting. If there's a specific request for say a direct grant that's related to scouting, then you want to use this other form. If it's something else, like you need $300 to do this specific type of training with the scouts or whatever, it would go through this process. But there's a streamlined process for that direct grant. And then I also want to let you know that we, again, are really trying to start using our platform as association, as the fundraisers for the Coast Guard Auxiliary to do more for you. So I want to let you know that today, and I'm going to probably update that picture, Ben, for that 111th birthday picture. I didn't realize that was actually today, but to show how we might do this is the association has started today. We put on a Facebook post and an Instagram post that should be switching over to our Instagram. Are you all seeing our Instagram page?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So
yeah.
we are able to solicit on your behalf. That is the role of the association. We are a nonprofit organization that can do that. So we're a bit clunky. We're just really starting this and ramping this up. But this is an example of how we can support you all and get that word out. We can use Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to be connecting with scouting groups, using those hashtags, using those communities in a way that you all as auxiliaries cannot. So with that, I'm going to say, you know, the Coast Guard Auxiliary Association has Instagram and Facebook pages up now where we're linking to the website. Oh, sorry. I linked to this tiny URL, which goes back to our website because I wanted to show you on the donate page. Okay. If someone asks you about donating or supporting AuxScout, Sea Scout or whatever, on the Auxiliary Association's donate page, there are a number of specific links to get into different places. People can donate directly. If you go here to this sponsored Sea Scout ship, and we can change this picture to whatever you guys want that's flashier, more exciting, or more clear, that's fine. Just let us know. If someone clicks on this, then it takes it to a landing page, and then it's specifically, we can put all this information in, we gather their processes here. That money will be held to set aside on our end, and we'll communicate with S Directorate what monies we have coming in. But for now, that's going to be sitting in that pool of that initial $3,000 that we'd set aside for chartering fees. But as time goes on, as ideas come in, we're going to be able to use that funding more specifically. And then for your awareness, you also could direct people to your unit. You can donate to a specific auxiliary unit. Then somebody can do that to support if the scout, you know, if the ship isn't started or that unit just does support scouts or something and you want to direct people there, they can go there. Now, I want to introduce, she's on the call, she may not be on video, but the Deputy Chief Development Officer is a talented and experienced fundraiser that we're so glad to have on our team, named Ann Bringle. She is going to be helping me and helping us as a team really expand what we're doing, find better ways to support the different directorates and different program areas. So I'm going to stop talking and let Ann introduce herself.
Thanks, Suzanne. This is very exciting to be a part of this. I've throughout my career heard about Sea Scouts, followed them a little bit, And now I'm really anxious to learn a whole lot more. My background is that I was for 9 years president of the Coast Guard Foundation and did a lot of fundraising for the Coast Guard, the Gold Side, in terms of support for families and scholarships and some capital projects having to do with community centers and help with the academies, training vessels, and so on and so forth. So I'm very familiar with the Coast Guard and have been an auxiliarist for this is my second year, and am an FSO PE, so I know a lot about our education program, and really excited about working with Suzanne and the team to advance not only all of the initiatives of the Auxiliary Association, but particularly the Sea Scouts. So I'm very happy to be here tonight and look forward to our work going forward.
Yeah. So last pitch is essentially, we can really at this point as a 501c3, we can do any of these things that you're seeing. We can accept donations in crypto. We can accept planned donations. We can do all of these other options. So if you have an idea or a thought, or you know somebody that might be interested in supporting the Sea Scout, through your ship specifically, or Sea Scout, AuxScout program, we can help with those conversations and find a way to do that. And as time goes on, we'll build our connection with you all and really build up a specific Scout funding to really improve that connection. So please keep us in mind, and Ron can always get us connected if you have a specific idea, or just you can email us. The information's on the AuxScout website. And thank you so much for your dedication and work. I was around as this whole thing rolled out as a director, and I know the resistance that some units had to it. I know the challenges, and I definitely know the hard work that you guys have all put into it. So I'm really, as a Scout mom, my son just became a Scout this summer. So I'm really excited to be helping as well, supporting the activities.
And thank you very much, Suzanne. We really appreciate your help. I know that some of the smaller flotillas that are chartering Sea Scout ships will really appreciate this help with the process. So these are the links that we are talking about in this presentation. And the focus of these grants, of course, is for ship registration, but there are also grants to units. And as Suzanne mentioned, if somebody wants to make a donation either to a ship that is chartered to a flotilla or division, they can do it through the Auxiliary Association website, or if they just want to make a donation towards the AuxScout program, this is the place to do it. The Auxiliary Association is a 501c3 and can legally accept charitable donations that people will then be able to write off on their taxes. So, and this was just yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Ron knows I'm never done. One more thing in that vein, because you guys deal with so many people that do have boats and maybe want to look to donate a boat. I know that's a question. Remember, the association has a partnership with the car donation process. So we can, as the association, vehicles or boats or ski-doos or anything that moves essentially can be donated through our donation partner, and those funds can be channeled directly to. So we're not taking a boat and giving it to a Scout ship. If someone has a boat that they're ready to donate, or a car they're ready to donate, those funds from the net income from that sale would be channeled directly to the unit through the association. So, and I forgot to really point that out too. All funds that come in through the website or come in directly to the association that are meant for a ship or meant for a unit or meant for Sea Scouts is 100% forwarded through the association. We don't take a cut on that. So we'll send it straight to the unit.
So Suzanne, we'll work with Ron to make sure that this word gets passed more widely to the AuxScout staff officers throughout the country to make sure that they're aware of this great opportunity. And we really appreciate your support.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. We have a piece of really good news to relay to you, and rather than saying much about it, I'm going to pass the microphone to Neil Smith, who is both the skipper of Sea Scout ship Deja Vu, ship 202 in Oregon. Skipper Smith is also a Coast Guard auxiliarist, and he's going to tell you about a remarkable story that occurred a couple of weeks ago off the Pacific coast. Neil?
Sure. Yeah. So again, a little bit of the backstory. Our ship 202 is from the Portland, Oregon area, and last fall we attended a safety at sea, which was sponsored a variety of folks that were there, but the auxiliary was definitely there. We had a little bit of Gold Side there too. We had fireboats and a variety of things, but the Coast Guard Auxiliary was instrumental in several different areas. And we had fire training, we had damage control, a variety of different kinds of safety at sea things. And our ship came up and spent the night actually aboard the Propeller, which is a Sea Scout vessel and a ship in the Seattle area. In fact, so we stayed on that vessel and then attended the event, came home, and this summer we chartered that vessel, Propeller, and her one of her masters for our long cruise, kind of a super long cruise for us. Normally we're in the Columbia Rivers system, but this year we came up and left Seattle, and we were on our first day of long cruise and coming across Puget Sound there. We're headed to Port Townsend, and the navigator at the time, he was working on his double angle on the bow, and so he's been poring over the charts and so forth and getting ready to take some of those things, and heard a pon-pon on 16, and basically it was a vessel assisting a second vessel that had smoke aboard. And so they had reported to the Coast Guard that again, they were assisting this other vessel. They were trying to locate the source of it, were actually unable to, and the smoke was getting worse. And so the Coast Guard had issued a notice, for any mariners in the area. You've all heard those, and requesting assistance. And we were on our way. We were not very that far away. In fact, after we received the initial call, we actually could spot in the distance the smoke. And so we brought her up from cruising speed to full speed and headed there and basically used a bunch of the skills. And so we'd asked the Coast Guard, are you interested in our assistance? And they said, at your discretion. And the original vessel had taken the two people off board because the smoke was getting worse. And so they were then standing away from the vessel, but nobody had any firefighting equipment. So when we arrived, we had two 1.5-inch lines charged and ready to go. And so we got to use our firefighting experience there, and so stayed upwind and tried to do what we could, trying to be careful not to sink the silly thing. But it was fully involved, and we rotated people through it, so they all got a chance to do that. And I'm glad we did. We were safely away from the vessel, but reasonably close, so that we can apply the water. We 2 fireboats actually responded to this. The first one got there, and we asked, are you ready to take over? And we were going to back away. And actually the fireboat said, no, we're actually having troubles with our pumps. Could you please continue to fight the fire? So we continued for quite a bit longer, and about 45 minutes later, I think it was, that the second fireboat actually was able to get on scene and to go to work on it. And then at that point, we backed off and picked up some fenders that had burned away from the vessel and all that sort of thing. So, but we got a chance to help and respond, and so there's some photos. In fact, that's me taking a photo, but some of the other ones, and I don't know if you've got any of the other ones that Bruce, I'd sent you some of the other ones too, but oh, there's a video. That was my mate taking it.
Fire training, in for the base of the flames.
Yes.
Base of the flames. Lower. Do we want to see if we can catch up some of the debris that's going on?
Yeah, it was very difficult to get inside there. There's also a forward hatch that we tried to shoot through that was difficult, and that fly bridge basically continued to tip over.
I assume there's fuel on board.
So at that point, I believe there was the fireboat that was still trying to work on its pump
Should we
off
ask
to
if
our
there was any
starboard side.
Probably good information to have.
Get more spray if you can. Guys, open up your hoses. Get a spray. There you go. There you go.
Yep.
And I was very pleased to see that the Sea Scout boat stayed upwind of the fire.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Neil.
No, I was just saying, so that was most of the experience. And one of my mates who took that video posted that to her Facebook account, and we're very close, reasonably close to Canada. So, the next day my cell phone wouldn't work. So I know Ben was trying to get a hold of me about these photos and so forth. So at any rate, interesting story. And it actually got picked up. Our council picked it up and created some little pieces out of it. And we had 2 or 3 news stations pick up the story. So it was, and I think that the Coast Guard in Seattle is interested in doing another safety at sea with us. So yeah. They liked it.
Right. I mean, this is a great example of how our working with the Sea Scouts have helped support the program, provided them with training that they might not have otherwise had an opportunity to do. Safety at Sea is a great event that's held in a variety of different places around the country. And if you're able to put one on in your area, it's well worth the time. And I can tell you from my own experience that the Coast Guard and auxiliary staff who help to support this actually have a good time doing this. This is a lot of fun to work with the Scouts because they're really interested in hearing what we have to say about this. So thank you very much, Neil, and really great story.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to give you just a brief update on how we did with encouraging Sea Scouts to participate in the Bark Eagle Summer Cruise and the Coast Guard Academy's AIM Week. As you probably know, this is the first year that we, as the Coast Guard Auxiliary, coordinated this process for the Sea Scouts. At the beginning of the process, we asked how many spots were available for Sea Scouts, and were informed that there were 4 guaranteed spots and 2 standbys. So we had a good number of applicants. We had 13 applicants for the August 5 to 11 cruise from Portland, Maine to New London, Connecticut. We had applications from over 10 states, and we had a selection team that included retired Coasties, Coast Guard auxiliaries, as well as members of the National Sea Scout Committee. And so 4 Sea Scouts were selected for the guaranteed spots. And then there are 2 more Sea Scouts who are waiting to hear whether they're going to get to go. It all depends on what the attrition rate is for the first year Coast Guard Academy cadets. So I had the opportunity to meet all of the applicants via Zoom. They're great scouts and will represent the Sea Scout program and the Coast Guard Auxiliary very well. So I'm very pleased with how that turned out. Similarly, we had a review committee that reviewed applicants for the Academy Introduction Mission, or AIM, and 3 preferred candidates were selected, and a 4th one is on standby in case there are some openings available. And actually the first 3 have all been selected, and we'll hear, I guess, a little bit closer to the time whether the 4th one gets to go. But I'm very pleased that we were able to do that, and it went very well for us. New ship updates. We're entering a very busy season for starting new Sea Scout ships, and I'd like to take a few moments to go over what you need to be doing to make this happen. As of today, there are 31 Coast Guard Auxiliary chartered ships in BSA's registration system. There are another 2 auxiliary sponsored ships whose applications are currently pending, and another 3 new auxiliary sponsored ships that should submit their paperwork by the end of the summer. That would bring the number of auxiliary chartered ships to 36, which is up from 0 only 3 years ago. So that just gives you a sense of how we've done for organizing Sea Scout ships. Currently, the following districts lead the country with the most number of ships. 5th Southern has 7 ships. 8th Coastal has 5. 5th Northern has 4 ships. 1st Southern and 8th Western Rivers each have 3 ships. And then the following districts currently charter 1 or 2 ships. 1st Northern, D7, 8th Eastern, 9th Eastern, 9th Central, 9th Western, and 11th Southern. That means that all but 4 districts are chartering at least 1 ship at this point. As of a few days ago, there were 348 youth and adult members of auxiliary chartered ships, and 208 Sea Scout auxiliaries recorded in Aux data. This shows solid benefits for both the auxiliary and the Sea Scouts, and you are making the difference in making all of this happen. So we track what we're doing, not only what ships are chartered to the Coast Guard Auxiliary, but also the ships that we're working on that are in development stage. So if you're working with a flotilla or a division that's interested in chartering a ship, please be sure to let the DSO know, as well as Mac McBride, who I see has been able to join us this evening, and let me know as well. And we will provide you whatever help we can to help make this a success. One resource I particularly want to point out is this checklist for organizing a new Sea Scout ship. This is really written with the flotilla or the division in mind. What do they need to know to start a ship? And it's just a checklist. We have a lot more resources on AuxB Wiki, but this tinyurl.com/new ship checklist will, if you walk your way through that, it will tell you everything you need to know to organize a new Sea Scout ship. Okay, cool. Let's move on. And next up is PJ O'Neill, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on with Tech Talks and Quick Tips.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to give a little update on the Tech Talks. First, if you're not familiar with our Tech Talk program, there are a series of virtual webinars open to Sea Scouts and auxiliaries. The purpose for the Tech Talk is to share a new topic each month and offer some insight, whether it's a particular interest to auxiliaries on the technical side of the topic. But more so this year, we've tried to find subject matter experts that can also speak towards the career opportunities and the career aspect as well, particularly when we're dealing with a lot of high school aged youth, trying to give them an idea of what sorts of things they may want to study in high school and going forward into college, and just exposing them to a range of careers in different fields, often maritime related, that they just might not be aware of yet. So that's what the Tech Talk is. The Tech Talks are held on the fourth Tuesday of each month. So we keep a uniform schedule. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And last month's Tech Talk was the U.S. Geological Survey, gave a good presentation. I'm going to run down the schedule, but I want you to keep in mind that the Tech Talks are recorded and they're posted both to the AuxScout YouTube channel and the Sea Scout YouTube channel. And it's really important because these Tech Talks are often used by both Sea Scout ships and flotillas as training materials, whether it's the whole Tech Talk or just a portion of the Tech Talk that might apply to your flotilla, or even a special group within the flotilla, perhaps aids to navigation, verifiers. There might be a bit of a Tech Talk that applies to them. So they make great training, and they are always posted a few days after the fourth Tuesday of the month. So please keep that in mind as you hear the Tech Talk topics that are coming up through October. I'll also mention that that with the recordings, that if you have not subscribed to the AuxScout YouTube channel, I would certainly ask you to do so and subscribe. And as the YouTube, the people that get monetized, make their money off YouTube, like to say, click the little bell. If you're not familiar with that on YouTube, there's a little bell that'll give you a notification. The AuxScout YouTube channel is not posting things daily, so when you get a notification from the AuxScout YouTube channel, you know it's not junk. It's high quality material that you'll probably be interested in, or at least see the value in passing along. So I mentioned last month's Tech Talk. Here's what we have coming up for July. We have Mr. Brendan DeCernia. He is the Deputy Program Manager at Eastern Shipbuilding down in Florida. And he's the program manager for the Coast Guard Offshore Patrol Cutter Program. So the Tech Talk is going to focus on shipbuilding, right? How these ships are built. But it's really special to us because our subject matter expert is in charge of the program that builds the offshore patrol cutters. So particularly for the July Tech Talk, when you see the invitation on the AuxScout Facebook page that will have the link, I would ask you, we're all in the AuxScout program, I would ask you to please either share that to your flotilla or division Facebook sites, or just copy the link and send it out to other interested auxiliaries. Because again, these are great for Sea Scouts, but they are also excellent opportunities for the Aux to join in. In August, we'll have a subject matter expert from the National Weather Service's Radar Operations Center. September, and this hasn't been advertised yet because it's still pending, but September has been reserved for NASA. NASA is we are in the hopper, so to speak, in their system to be assigned an astronaut volunteer to give a tech talk, but that is not confirmed yet. So September may have an alternate tech talk if NASA does not have an assigned astronaut for September. But I promise you, as soon as we know that NASA is confirmed, the rest of AuxScout will know that NASA is confirmed as well. And October isn't necessarily a technologically focused webinar for the Tech Talk, but it's a great space for this. We had a wonderful offer that came through Bruce from ANACO IT, Commodore Sue Davies. Commodore would like to do a leadership webinar, and we have the time slot. Thanks to Peter Sargent, we have the technology and we have the audience. So we thought that this would be a wonderful opportunity to share some high-level leadership from the auxiliary, and get that exposed to our Sea Scout members. So again, the Tech Talks are the fourth Tuesday of each month, and I would urge you, not just within AuxScout, but in your flotillas and divisions, when you see those invitations come out, please pass them along and share. Not only are the topics of interest to other auxiliaries, but it could be their first interaction with the AuxScout program, and help build that relationship between what we do in our directorate and the broader auxiliary, so that when they hear AuxScout, they may have at least attended a tech talk and found something of value in it, and who knows where that could lead once there's that positive connection between Sea Scouts and auxiliary. Moving on to quick tips. Quick tips is an idea to have an on-demand library, virtual library, again on the AuxScout YouTube channel, that would answer many of the common questions that auxiliaries bring up, often administrative in nature, regarding the Sea Scout and auxiliary relationship, the ship to flotilla relationship, issues regarding chartering, and things like that. The videos would provide like a tutorial in 3 to 5 minutes. And Bruce has been instrumental in supplying topics, because over the years, he's the one that often receives the same types of questions, sometimes a little bit different format with each question, but essentially the same types of questions from quarter to quarter and year to year. So again, how will you know when the quick tip is posted? Well, if you subscribe to the AuxScout, sorry, excuse me, the AuxScout YouTube channel, and hit the bell, you'll get a notification. And again, I think I don't speak out of turn, but I can guarantee if you get a notification from the AuxScout YouTube channel, it'll be high quality material that's relevant to what you're doing and relevant to helping out the Sea Scouts and your flotillas.
Thanks very much, PJ. And the first 2 quick tips have been posted in the last week. We have another 11 queued up. It's just a matter of getting the time to record them, but a few more will be showing up in the next week or 2. So again, please subscribe and ring the bell. This should be an important resource that will help you do your work, because you can point people at these quick tips for chunks of information that will help them to support the program. So thank you very much, PJ. Before we get to your questions, I'd like to just hit you with a few reminders. And I know this is going to sound familiar to many of you, but just I want to make sure we say these things. Please remember to complete your required BSA training, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. Don't forget your monthly reporting. Utilize the AuxScout social media, including YouTube, Facebook, and we have 2 or 3 others. So utilize those as a way to communicate what you're doing and to get people interested in this. Publicize what's going on in AuxScout in your district. If people aren't hearing from you, they don't know that you're doing all of these cool things, and they need to know, because you want to build those bridges to get more support for our program. Reach out to local Sea Scout leadership and units. Promote and train AuxScout at your district's D-Train, and know your AuxScout resources. So let's get to the staff questions. And the first question was about the availability of boat insurance for Sea Scout boats. And Ron Blaisdell is going to take that one.
Sure. This is a question that seems to come up all the time. And so I figured it was a good opportunity here to talk about this, because I think there's more than one coverer insurance writer who is not well known on this list. But I think everybody knows Boat US. It's been around for a long time. Progressive, Geico, Allstate, State Farm. State Farm one got me, actually. I didn't know State Farm did, but I recently found they did. And the last two are ones that I think are lesser known for people: United Marine Underwriters and Charter Lakes Marine. They both actually do charter vessels as well. So they are willing to take probably sometimes more risk than others would be. So you need to remember that. But I mean, they're designed to be able to help you, and hopefully that kind of answers the question of places you could go. And there, I know there's more, trust me. But you know, those are at least a handful to get you started if you are trying to figure out where to get insurance for your craft.
And I do know that an awful lot of the boats that we're working with are older boats. And so not all insurance underwriters will cover these boats, but some will. So don't give up if the first place you approach won't insure the boat. Somebody will.
Even Lloyd's Maritime, which
Right.
is another one.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Ron. We had a question about what training is required, and we'll go over this. Hopefully all of you have seen a certificate like this because you've completed your youth protection training and that you're current with your youth protection training. We're going to talk about that and some other training that either you're required to take or that you're encouraged to take. Of course, the first one is youth protection training. This is available online. There are some places where you can get this given face-to-face, but frankly, the easiest, quickest way to get this done is to go to my.scouting.org. It'll take you about 75 minutes to complete. It is not rocket science. You want to make sure that you save your completion certificate and have your flotilla commander send it to your DIROC's office so that it can be entered into AUX data. And yes, I know that there are some districts that handle it a different way. Your DSOAS will definitely know if the procedure is different in your district. Remember that YPT training, youth protection training, must be retaken at least every 24 months. And this is training that is required of all AuxScout staff officers at all levels, as well as the youth programs national staff. So if you aren't current in this training, please make sure that you do take it. Moving on, Sea Scout Adult Leader Basic Training. This is a 4-hour online course that's broken up into 8 modules, each of 30 minutes or less. And this is also required of all AuxScout staff officers. What isn't required is attendance at Sea Badge. I can tell you that I have attended Sea Badge probably about 36 times. It is a blast. It's really a lot of fun. It's very useful, and you really would do well to consider attending it. These days, you can attend it either in person in a get-together live event or online. The online courses are very inexpensive and are taught as 2 weekend online courses. So there is information about Sea Badge on the Sea Scouts BSA website. The Sea Scout Adult Leader Basic Training is available on my.scouting.org. Okay, there are a couple other courses that you need to be aware of, and actually we'll push on to the next slide. If you're running an activity that involves in the water activity, that is swimming or something of that nature, at least one adult must have a current Safe Swim Defense training certificate. That course is 30 minutes long. It is really painless. There's no final exam. And if you're going to do anything with paddlecraft, you're going to need to have that training completion. Similarly, there's a second course, BSA Safety Afloat, which you have to have at least one adult participating in the mission have completed that training. Again, it's 30 minutes long, and it's not difficult to do. There's no exam. When you complete those, you need to have your flotilla commander send that in to DIROX for entry into your AUX data training record. Both of these courses are, you do it every 24 months. The Sea Scout Adult Leader Basic Training course is a one and done situation. So you'll take it once and you don't need to take it again. Now, I want to stress that the reason why we're doing this is not just to check the boxes. We want you to know what you need to know so that you can do your work. Ron pulled BSA course completions out of AUX data yesterday so that I'd have a sense of how many people are fulfilling their training requirements. And the good news is that 442 auxiliaries have completed youth protection training and they're current with that training. The bad news is only 36 auxiliaries have completed the Sea Scout Adult Leader Training. Since there are over 170 AuxScout staff officers around the country, what that's telling me is that over 3/4 of them are untrained. They have not taken the basic Sea Scout Adult Leader Training. And then Safety Afloat and Safe Swim Defense. I know that not all of you are doing in the water or on the water activities with Sea Scouts, but it's so painless to do. You really should do it so that you're familiar with what's involved in the BSA rules, and so that you can support your fellow auxiliaries in working with Sea Scouts. We can do better. This isn't just a matter of checking the boxes. This is so that you have the information so that you can do your job. So there's also a lot of training available from the auxiliary. We've heard about AuxScout workshops, the Tech Talks and Quick Tips. Training is on AuxB Wiki, and it's available either as handouts or as PowerPoint presentations that you can download and either use it to train yourself, or you can use it to train your fellow auxiliaries in your district or division. As we've already said, there's lots of YouTube videos available. And if you need help with a particular subject, please don't hesitate to reach out to youth program staff. And Either we can do some mentoring or coaching for you, or we can put on a course for you if it's something that we haven't covered up to this point. So I hope that answers the question. The next question that came up was about the AuxSCO1 and AuxSCO2 codes. And to answer that and other aux data related questions, I hand the floor back over to Ron Blaisdell.
Yes, all the fun and excitement. I was also typing up at the answer about how do you get your CPR certification registered in MyDOT Scouting, which, hey, that's another thing I handle. We don't talk about this because we realized that recently I decided to do a deep dive data analysis, and I went and found every single person who had the Sea Scout flag set on their record already. Lots of you have, and that's very cool, over 200. And only 29% have bothered to even record hours under either AuxSCO1 or AuxSCO2, which is really what they should be using. So that being the case, we thought we would just put this back up there again, and we will be doing this in a quick, in one of the quick tips. I'm about 3/4 of the way through writing the script now. I keep rewriting it. That's always a problem. So AuxSCO1, who's that for? That is for the folks who are not registered with the BSA Sea Scout ship or the National Sea Scout Committee or something of that nature, who may every so often work with Sea Scouts. As an example, your coxswain who takes Sea Scouts out on one of your facilities. That would be a perfectly appropriate code for them to use then. Okay. Or if you happen to be a staff officer who isn't registered with the BSA, this would be perfectly appropriate for you to use. It actually is one other case I've come up with, an edge case, I guess. If you happen to be registered like a commissioner with the BSA, so you're not registered with the Sea Scout unit, but you visit Sea Scout ships as part of your job as a BSA commissioner, it should go under AuxSCO1 because you're not doing it as part of Sea Scouting. It's kind of two edges of the sword. What are we reporting? In AuxSCO1, we're basically saying here are auxiliaries that are doing stuff with Sea Scouts. And then under AuxSCO2, we're saying these are Sea Scouts who are doing stuff for the auxiliary, which is why we say, if you do have that little Sea Scout flag checked on your record, absolutely every single hour that you are participating in any event whatsoever for the auxiliary, or if you happen to be at a Sea Scout meeting even, should be recorded under AuxSCO2. Okay, so think about it that way. SCO1 is for auxiliaries who are working with Sea Scouts. SCO2 is our gift back to the auxiliary. And if I were to tell you how many people look at these numbers, you would be really shocked and surprised. But they want to see the value. They want to know how much we're working with them. What are we doing? So, you know, if you're a registered Sea Scouter or or Scout, if there's any of those around, then, you know, you attend a flotilla meeting. That should be recorded under AuxSCO2. Okay. Even if it's 99 echo for you, it doesn't really matter. It still gets AuxSCO2. So that's the quick tip, which will also be coming out in video. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to drop me a pin or a note, and I will answer you back in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much, Ron. We had a question about using auxiliary monies in support of Sea Scout ships, and there are actually two pieces to this, and I'm going to go into detail about one of the pieces, and the other one I'm going to gloss over because it's in flux. But let's start with the piece that we can go into in detail. It is legitimate for your flotilla or division to be using funds in support of authorized auxiliary activities, and disbursement of funds must always be used to further the general purposes of the auxiliary. Keep in mind that the Sea Scout program is one of the authorized missions of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. So if your flotilla needs to use funds in support of registration, for chartering a ship, you can use your funds in that way. Now, we've already heard today that the Auxiliary Association will be reimbursing all or part of those funds, but the bottom line is that those expenditures are legitimate expenditures, and you can apply flotilla or division funds in that regard. If you have any questions about that, the person you need to go to in your district is your DSOLP. That's basically your district's lawyer, and they'll be able to hash out any of the nuances of what the rules are about that. And if he or she doesn't have the answer, they have resources that they can go to clarify that. Now, the other piece of that is how to manage the funds of a flotilla or division chartered Sea Scout ship. And there's a FAQ on AuxScout Wiki that deals with that. Now, the wording on that, it reflects a policy that was mutually agreed to by the Auxiliary and the Boy Scouts of America back in 2020. BSA has recently changed a piece of their policy on that, and I am in discussions with the BSA national staff to get that clarified. So we are aware that there is some language in the newly published financial procedures from BSA that is problematic for the auxiliary, and we are working on getting that clarified. But for the moment, just go to the Auxiliary Sea Scout frequently asked questions page on AuxScout Wiki and follow those instructions there. And we should have an update for that, I'm hoping, within the next few weeks, but time will tell on how quickly Bruce will be able to move the mountain. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so you've probably seen this slide before. As always, we're interested in hearing from you about how we can serve you better. Do you have any recommendations for changes in either the goals or methods? What do you think should be our priorities, and who are our untapped potential partners inside the auxiliary? Please send us your recommendations and make sure that you copy your DSOAS in any communications like that, so that he or she is aware of what your thinking is on that subject. We're going to get to general discussion in a minute, but I just want to have my wrap-up comments, and then we'll open the floor for discussion. I'd like to encourage all of you to think about what specifically you're trying to accomplish through the AuxScout program. It's not enough to say that you're supporting the Coast Guard Auxiliary or the Sea Scout program. It's not enough to say that you're filling the X position, whatever that is, whether it's the SOAS or the FSOAS or whatever. What are you trying to accomplish? How many ships are you working with in your flotilla or division or district? Is every flotilla or division engaged with the Sea Scouts? Have you explored the possibility of organizing a new ship in your AOR? Yes, I know it's a lot of work, but if it were easy, anyone could do it. And I've done it many times. It is very doable. You just have to set your mind to it. You're here for a purpose. we're trying to expand the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and the Sea Scout programs by actively supporting Sea Scouts using our auxiliary and Coast Guard resources. We are not in competition with one another. If one grows, we all grow. To quote Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Know where you're going. What specifically are you trying to accomplish? Don't just hold a position, do something specific to make things better. I have faith in you. You can make a difference. Don't wait for someone else to do it. You are the only person that you know you can absolutely count on to make things happen. If we all commit to making things happen and we work together towards that end, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. I am totally convinced of it. So thank you very much for all that you're doing. I'm proud of you all, and I'm proud to be able to work with you. Yes, we can. So with that, I'm going to stop sermonizing. I do want to just remind you that the next all hands meeting is going to be on Sunday, November 12th at 2100 Eastern. Our apologies for accidentally scheduling this one a half an hour earlier. I know that it's tough for our friends on the West Coast to come that half an hour earlier. By starting it at 9 Eastern, it makes it a little bit easier for the folks on the West Coast. So I'm going to stop sharing and open the floor for any questions or discussion.
Hey, Bruce, I've got something.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Joyce. You've got people in the All Hands Scout chat on Facebook that are asking for the link. So I'm not sure if you want to get on that chat after the meeting and put in maybe an email address for them to email so that they can get put in for the next email out for the quarterly meeting in November.
I'll have somebody on my staff do that. I'm just looking around. Is John on this forum?
John is on.
Okay. Well, maybe
they can take care of it.
Okay, thank you. I pay him big money to do that, so he's really good at it. Okay, thank you. That's a great suggestion. Any other questions or comments?
Bruce, I have kind of a feel-good topic just to throw in. As a lot of you know, there is he's just starting his 4th year at the Academy, Coleman Peppard, from Ship 1909 East Greenwich, which is the unit that I'm associated with Sea Scouts. And as we speak, he is undertaking his first Engineer of the Watch on the Eagle. He just got his qualification, and they are heading on a course due 380, making ludicrous speed. That's what the posting was. Coleman was dreaming about getting this assignment for his last summer, and he got it, and he's thrilled. He actually made his decision to go into the Coast Guard on board the Eagle back in 2017 when we went out with Gold Star Kids, my unit, and a few others. Not part of the regular program, but something special, more so for the Gold Stars. So I just wanted to share that with you. You know, he's an extra kid of mine, and he's doing great, and I'm looking forward to a nice graduation ceremony next year. That's it.
And the fact that he's doing ludicrous speed means that he's on Spaceballs, is he?
I think might be, yes.
Okay.
They've gone plaid.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions or comments?
I've got one comment. You out to other auxiliaries that they may not have to worry about trying to charter a unit themselves if they want to partner up with another auxiliary. I am a past flotilla commander of one on the Lake Huron side of Michigan, and the auxiliary out of Charlevoix, which is on Lake Michigan side, is actually the chartered organization for the unit, and I am the committee chair for the ship also. So we have it covered, and the ship is actually in Alpena itself. They're a sailboat, and we have units or kids involved all the way from Boyne City to Alpena, which is about a 100-mile line. So it doesn't have to be specifically in your backyard to make it work.
Right, and another piece of that comment that's worth bringing out is if there are already Sea Scout ships in your area of responsibility, you don't need to be organizing new ships. If you can just reach out to them and be supportive of them, you are fulfilling our mission. If we can help the currently existing Sea Scout ships be strong and effective, that's perfect. And don't worry about organizing new ships in that regard.
There's a good possibility I might have some video, maybe not as dramatic as the boat fire earlier, but the military is running a Northern Strike program off of Lake Huron this summer, and they've actually asked for all auxiliaries to give them as much assistance out on the water as they can. And I've got a facility that I've run for the last 28 years, and we've taken Sea Scouts on that already.
Excellent, thank you. Other questions or comments?
Bruce,
Yes, sir.
Ship 100 out of Lake Allatoona that I'm still associated with. We had one young man who was accepted for AIM and supposedly reported today to the Academy.
Excellent, thank you. That's great news. Craig Burkhart's hand is up. Craig.
Well, you asked, what are we actually doing? And so just in the last, I would say 45 days, this is what we're doing in Ship 25 in Washington, D.C., or these are some of the results. We've got 3 young people who are active, enlisted recruiting possibilities that are open with their local recruiting office. We've got 4 people are active applicant, will be active applicants to the Academy this next cycle, basically people going into their that time of their year. We've got 3 people that we found summer jobs for that are acting as deckhands on the Hornblower big tourist boats in Washington, D.C. They regularly help us out with our advancement activities. We're sending 2 separate groups out to do long cruises. We just came back from having our 22 newest members go to a week-long aquatics camp at our local scout reservation. We have 11 of our young people in our ship are in the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We sent 1 person to AIM. So I will tell you, we're a bit exhausted, but we really feel like we are moving the needle on stuff out here. You know, the last comment I'll say is that, so we recruit a lot of inner city young people from Washington, D.C. to the ship. And so they, along with the others, are members of our new class that we took out for this orientation session out by the Shenandoah Mountains. 2 of them, who were pretty good friends from high school, pulled me aside during the week, and they told me they had never seen a mountain before. And they had never gone paddlecraft. You know, we did all the paddlecraft stuff. They had never done that before. One, who's a high school football star, had never been swimming before. So I'm telling you, that young man has told me he already wants to go into the Coast Guard. So we are moving the needle in our situation, and I know it's being moved in other situations around the country with other ships, especially the ships that are Coast Guard auxiliary ships. So my hat is off to everybody who is on the same team that I'm on here. This is important stuff. And every once in a while, it just takes that young person to pull me aside and said, I've never seen a mountain, and I didn't know how to swim until you guys taught me how to swim this week. So that's my good news to everybody.
And I know that Zach wants to talk, but I just want to follow up Craig's comment with a story I had from when I was skipper back when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth. We had a scout fleet in New York City in 2002 for the Sea Scouts' 90th birthday. And we had about 450 Sea Scouts in New York City. And you may remember that 2002 was right after 9/11. So everybody was really gun shy about going to New York City. But we had Sea Scouts from all up and down the East Coast sail into New York City and sail by the Statue of Liberty and just generally having a great time. We were the first major maritime event that New York City had after 9/11, and they couldn't have been friendlier or more welcoming to us. Now, the piece of this story that I wanted to relate is that one of my youngest scouts came rushing up to me and said, "Skip, are you having fun?" And I said, "Charlie, you know, I don't have fun at these things. I'm really satisfied that you are having fun and that you're having a good experience and everybody is safe because they're doing these things together with other scouts who are trustworthy, loyal, et cetera, et cetera." So, you know, that was my payoff, is seeing these kids have a great experience and enjoy themselves and learn something and maybe become better people for what they're doing. Zach, did you want to talk about what you had been up to?
Yeah, I'll just give a just brief. I want to announce we have a new chartered ship in Norwella Council, which is northern Louisiana. It's ship 132. It is, the chartering organization is Division 15 of 8 Western Rivers, and I believe the charter just went through last week. And I was hoping that Bill Tracy, who is our he's our COR for that ship, but he's also the FSOAS for the Hot Springs Flotilla in Division 15. But we chartered the ship through Division 15, and I'm the Division 15 SOAS, but Bill is our guy that's heading it up. I wish Bill could have been here tonight, but as soon as they got the charter, he sent us an email and he went into back surgery. So he's out the next 2 weeks, but we talking to our DCAP for the southern region of 8 Western Rivers. We're hoping to do some type of kickoff with ship 132, and we're really looking forward to it. The plan is there's not a flotilla there in Shreveport. There was decades ago. The idea is now is there's enough auxiliaries of other Division 15 flotillas that live close to that we hope that with having ship 132 there, we can rebuild a flotilla there, and that Shreveport flotilla can take over as the chartering org. But I just wanted to give a quick shout to that. And it's been a long time coming. I think we've been working on it 8 months, 9 months now, probably. But it's my first ship for us to charter with me as DSOAS of 8 Western Rivers. So pretty happy moment for us right now.
And congratulations, Zach. That's really good job. And hopefully your FSO didn't hurt his back organizing the ship.
I don't think he did. He's got a lot of other hobbies out there as well. So he, I think it was probably one of those other hobbies, but he's excited. You know, one of their goals is to try to get as many of that ship's Sea Scouts to apply for AIM and also to apply for the Eagle. So I'm really looking forward to that. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes,
Hey,
Monique.
Hey, Bruce. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I just want to give a shout out to all the, members of the AuxScout team from District 7 attending the meeting this evening. We have both the staff officers as well as Division Commander Anthony Wong and also members of the other flotillas that are joining us and BSA leaders as well. And one of the as we're talking about a new ship some of you know that we have 2 new ships that got started in Division 8, and we have a flotilla leader in flotilla 8-6 that's with us, Judy. And also in Division 17, Division Commander Anthony Wong is with us, and that he's very supportive of the program. And Michael Hockman, who's a BSA leader, has just gone along with a colleague, RJ, who's not on the meeting tonight, but they have spoken with the American Legion 412 in Central Florida, and they're expecting to get a ship started, and that will be supported by Flotilla 1710, or also by the by division in general. So just very happy to be part of this program with both auxiliary flotilla leadership as well as BSA leaders that is helping to start ship and grow the program. So also thanks to my 2 ADSO here, and they've been doing great job and supporting us as well. So just wanted to say that that it takes everybody's to participate actively to help out to make this happen. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Monique. Tom's hand is up.
I just want to let everybody know that we have a auxiliarist that was a Sea Scout leader, or is a Sea Scout leader. He has currently developed a Commodore's cruise that he is on currently right now off the coast of North Carolina. There are 5 keel boats, 30+ feet each, 24 Sea Scouts from 5 different ships across the state of North Carolina are out there with him. A lot of them for the first time out. So they mixed up the Sea Scouts that know what they're doing with the kids that are learning. There's a number of adults that are excellent sailors, and a few that may have gotten a rowboat once or twice in their lifetime. So it's going to be interesting. As I say, they have a few things planned during the 4 days they're going to be out there. I think they are going to be attacked by the pirates at some point in time. So we'll see where all that ends up. They're also visiting one of the Coast Guard stations while they're down there. So it will be an interesting week for these kids.
And Tom is the ADSO for Sector North Carolina, and Tom does a terrific job. We have 5 auxiliary sponsored Sea Scout ships in Sector North Carolina, and the auxiliary and the Sea Scouts work very closely together. There are a number of other ships that aren't auxiliary chartered, but that's all right. They all work together so that they provide a better program for the Scouts, and they're stronger for working together. And thank you, Tom, for your leadership there. Any other questions or comments?
Sorry, Bruce. I forgot to mention that one of the team members here is a new FSOAS, Lindsay Bond from Flotilla 59 in Stewart, Florida.
Welcome.
So, welcome.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, we've gone on for almost an hour and a half. Thank you very much. I hope this was a useful experience for everybody. We'll be glad to take your feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. We want to make these as useful as we can for you. If you prefer to do it anonymously, you can pass it through your DSO and they can pass it on without your name, or if you want to say nice things, that's also okay. But thanks to everyone for what you're doing. Thank you to the speakers for giving great presentations. And we will see you down the road. Next forum will be November 12th on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you, everyone. Try to stay dry, stay cool, and have a good summer.
You too.
Right.
Thanks.
Have a great trip.
Thank you.